Matilda, 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 she take me money and run Venezuela. Matilda, 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 she take me money and run Venezuela.
Harry Belafonte was an American singer who was particularly known for popularizing calypso music. As a child, he lived in New York and then in Jamaica and then back in New York again. And he started as a club singer in New York to pay for acting classes. He released his first album in 1954. It was his third album, Calypso, in 1956, that launched him into stardom. Before dying in 2023, he had released 27 studio albums, 8 live albums, and 6 collaborations. And he also did a good number of film and TV appearances. Hi, my name's Dan. So this obviously is a live album. You can probably pick that up from the title of the album. We've got Harry Belafonte singing, as you might imagine, but also talking. He's got bits where he's talking at the audience. And he's got kind of a core band that have got guitar, I think it's acoustic guitar, bass, which is acoustic bass, and percussion, and but also, as well as that, there's an orchestra. So the orchestra don't appear on all the tracks in the album. It's a double album, or the original was a double album, and the version that I listened to was the track listing from the original double album. I'm fairly sure it's a revamped version that I've listened to. It's got a nice recording and some excellent stereo going on. But the original CD release had fewer tracks on it, so I made sure I got the one that had the full track listing. It's my first time listening to this album, and it's quite a long album. But yeah, kind of broadly speaking, I'd say I enjoyed it. There is kind of a nuance to this that I'm not sure about, which is I'm a bit torn about some of the aspects of political correctness or otherwise here. And I think that the sensibilities now are quite different to what they were in 1959 when this was recording. I think in those days it was quite common to find things that were fairly, casually racist in all sorts of ways. I'm not sure that I'd say that this was, but there may be bits here that now we would think were a little on the insensitive side. There's a track called Cotton Fields, which made me think about slavery. It doesn't actually mention slavery. There's the first part of the album, which I'll talk about in a minute. It's called Moods of the American Negro. And some of the Caribbean songs seem to be a bit kind of a little bit jokey in a way that is maybe poking fun at Caribbeans a little. Although I do recognise that Harry Belafonte himself did spend time in the Caribbean. So what I want to do is I don't want to condemn this album for this. I realise that there might be people for whom this album may have connotations that they're not comfortable with. And I want to throw it open to everybody who's watching this review. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this aspect of the album and comment. Some people think it's fine. Some people might struggle with it. I don't know where I stand really. I have a bit of a conclusion towards the end. So the first part, as I say, is labelled as Moods of the American Negro, and it's folk songs, including a track called Sylvie that I know actually from I've forgotten his name just off the top of my head. So sorry, so a British guy who did a lot of American folk stuff. Yeah, it's not coming back to me. I'll move on. I'll suddenly blurt it out maybe later on if it comes to me. So there's some nice songs in there. The second section focuses on the Caribbean, and there's a particular emphasis on some more jokey songs here. I didn't know that he is kind of the origin of the Jamaica Farewell and of the Banana Boat song here. And there's some interesting songs in this. And then possibly one of the ones that I think is maybe a little patronising is Man Smart, Woman Smarter. But yeah, again, of the time. And then the third section is labelled Around the World, and this includes rather a bizarre collection of stuff, which includes Hava Nagila and Danny Boy and Shenandoah, but also a song that I didn't know, which is Matilda, which is apparently his biggest hit. So the band are great. The orchestra is an orchestra, and they seem fine. There's some really nice percussion playing. I particularly enjoyed. His singing's he is a singer, and is a singer from the 50s, and singers on the 50s had to be good. He's got powerful lungs and great control. I felt that there were times when he was kind of over milking it in terms of the kind of, especially in the croony songs. But maybe some of this is the fact that he did Danny Boy. So I hate the song Danny Boy. And the reason why I hate it is because obviously these days I'm Dan. When I was little, I was known as Danny quite a lot. Please don't use it at me. I'll start to get annoyed at you. And he, every now and again, at the age of 10, when the fifth person in the week has started to sing Danny Boy at you, you start to dislike that song. I do recognise that it's a really classic tune, and a lot of people really love it. Um, what else can I say? There's as well as the music and the singing, there's some introduction stuff. There's bits that he says between the tracks, uh, and it's good. He's got good patter. He's got lots of humour to what he says. The whole thing is actually generally very light-hearted. There are bits of pathos in there as well, um, and it's possible coming back to the kind of thought of the appropriateness, that it's possible to think about the fact that he probably was bringing cultural elements to audiences that at this point in time might not have had exposure otherwise, and that's certainly something that's worth considering. Anyway, overall, it's quite an enjoyable experience. At times, it was a bit too croony for me and a bit too kind of overly emotive in that sense. So that's what I think. I'd love to know what you think. So please do share by leaving your thoughts in a comment. And that's it from me for now.
Hey-oh, hey-oh. Daylight come and me want go home. Me said them, me said them, me said them, me said them, me said them. Daylight come and me